Welcome to Painting the Air episode. We should finish up today maybe. And so I'm just going to read from my journal like I've been. The last time we were together, I was sharing with you how I had just gotten back to my restaurant after the funeral of my son Scotty, and how I met a woman who had lost her son a year previously and said, "You should talk to your son." And I didn't know if that was even possible. And she said to me, kind of smirkingly, "Let's you and I and our two sons go and have lunch together." And I kind of smiled, but that night after the restaurant closed, I walked out on the deck. It was a beautiful moonlit night over the Gulf of Mexico. And I looked up at the stars and I said, "Scotty, if you're there, I just want you to know how much I love you." And I thought that my heart would break and that I would never heal, but slowly it did heal. And then 2 years fast forward is when I actually died in the MRI tunnel and Scotty was with me. So I'd like to pick up there, where we're at there, and continue our story. So, you see, at this time of my life, I wasn't committed to being a Jesus follower. My sweet mother would say, "Honey, are you married to Jesus or are you only dating him?" It's an interesting chain of events that was to follow just 2 years later. A chain of events involving Scotty and, of course, Jesus. Those events have changed my life forever. They have turned my grief into deep gratitude. That's the way our God is. He reaches down in the midst of our grief and lifts us up, sometimes with very few words, but big, comforting hugs. After I returned to the little island of Cedar Key in my initial return to my restaurant, I lapsed into deep despair. I could not believe the sudden chain of events. My beloved son, Scotty, gone forever. My firstborn, who will always be my baby. I went to bed, literally, for 3 weeks. I cried, I slept, I sobbed over and over. Until one day, I guess my husband had had enough. He came home in the middle of the day, still finding me in bed, and gently said to me, "I know how you hate my 4-letter words, but this time I'm going to tell you one that will help you. Busy. Get up and get busy. B-U-S-Y. As he had lost his first wife to breast cancer, I kind of felt that he knew what it was to grieve and what was necessary to heal. Kind of. He never had a child, so my grief was totally different than his, but it was still grief. I was in a deep fog. I couldn't think. But I somehow got up and muddled through, and it did help to get my mind off of things a little and put them on others, the work at hand, and the salty way of life of the little island on the Gulf of Mexico. Slowly but surely healing came, or so I had thought, and then it fast-forwarded to 2 years. That day that I actually flatlined in the MRI tunnel after brain surgery, Scotty had climbed in the tunnel with me, and he said, "Mom, I've come to take you home." And I said, "Scotty, it's not my time." And he said, "Mom, it's not your call." And he started to say Psalm 23 when he got to the 4th verse where it says, "Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me." The entire tunnel lit up whiter than white. I'm an artist. I know what white looks like, but this was whiter than white. At that same instant, I heard my daughter crying out in the hallway, and I told him that I couldn't go. And he said, "Well, okay, Mom." And he kissed me on the cheek, and he was gone into the whiteness. But what he taught me through that was how to develop an attitude of gratitude, and my heart became a magnet for miracles. My grief was turned into gratitude. In Storm Matthew 2016, 2017, Storm Irma, I lost my home. My stepson committed suicide in 2018. It was an overdose suicide. Then November 2022, we had Storm Ian and Nicole. And I climbed up on the debris pile and I said, I thought I was your girl. And I heard him whisper, and I'm talking about God, but you are my girl. You are my girl. So in summary of these episodes and of the things that I've shared with you in my life, I just want to say sometimes your life makes a sermon, and it's not what comes out of your lips, no matter how loud you speak. Live your life so that it speaks well of you. Choose your words carefully. Every great person does and did. The stars and suns cycle every day and never say a word, yet in Psalm 19 it says their being reaches up to the heavens. The moral of the story here is to never give up. That's, kind of my L&B summary. Have you ever been in a position where you wanted to give up, that you didn't have the strength to carry on? You must never give up. I learned that I must never give up. You must be relentless, for only in being relentless you will receive the reward. If you are still walking above the ground, you must never, ever give up. When you die, they will put a birth date and an expiration date on your tombstone. The only thing you have to contribute to is the dash in between. And what will be said about you? What will be said about me? I hope they say about me that I never gave up and I was relentless in my endeavors. When I died in an MRI tunnel, I was graciously granted the ability to rise again. And when my bank account was empty, I was grateful for food and shelter. Did you know that a grateful heart is truly a magnet for miracles? When I couldn't move my legs, I lifted them with my arms. When I couldn't walk, I crawled. And when I couldn't paint with my right hand, I put the brush in my left. When my husband left, I moved on. When my home was destroyed twice from storms and within 11 months of each other, I rebuilt it and restored it. When my son was killed, I kept on. When my stepson took his own life, I kept on. I know what it's like to want to give up. When it looked like I was going down, but that look was only a temptation, and I was not about to give in to the pain. And neither should you. You may feel weak, but you will regain strength. You may feel tired, but you will be refreshed. It may look dark, but the sun will shine again. An apple tree in the winter may look dead, but come next fall, the branches will be bending with fruit. There are seeds inside of you that will bring you back. There are seeds of greatness placed inside of you. Just like a butterfly struggles to free itself in its cocoon, those struggles are what produces its strength to fly. Or just like an acorn or tender twigs produce great trees, or an embryo in a womb produces a child who just may change the world with their words, their ways, or their willfulness. I pushed past the pain, the weakness and fatigue, and so can you, no matter what the circumstance, no matter how tired you are, no matter how feeble. It doesn't matter that it looks very dark right now. It is not the events that happen to you that develop your character, but how you experience them that will make a difference. That is how some people in terrible circumstances can rise above and overcome, push and believe. Just like a young mother in birthing her baby. Push, breathe, push, pray until something happens. Not many have faith. Be a person of faith and finish your race. Don't give in to the temptation to quit, because your record becomes that of a quitter. Push past the temptation to quit, and I and they will clap for you, and you will receive your reward, and you will see the impossible become the possible. I hope you've enjoyed my story. I hope it's made a difference in your life. And I hope that you never, ever